a vast city, its walls soaring high into the sky, its streets bustling with merchants, scribes, and artisans. This was Babylon, the jewel of Mesopotamia, and at its helm stood one of history's most formidable rulers, Hammurabi. Today we remember him as the king who gave us one of the earliest legal codes, but his reign was about much more than just laws. Hammurabi transformed Babylon from a modest city-state into a sprawling empire. Yet like all great civilizations, its glory was not to last forever. The rise and fall of Hammurabi's Babylon is a tale of ambition, innovation, and ultimately, the forces that even the mightiest rulers cannot control. The story begins around 1792 BCE, when Hammurabi ascended the throne of Babylon. At the time, Babylon was just one of many competing city-states in Mesopotamia, vying for dominance in a land where power shifted like the tides of the Euphrates. But Hammurabi had something that set him apart: vision. He wasn't just interested in ruling a city. He wanted an empire. His first move? Strengthening Babylon's infrastructure. He built roads, established trade networks, and most importantly, improved the irrigation systems that allowed crops to flourish. Agriculture was the lifeblood of Mesopotamian civilization, and a well-fed population meant a prosperous kingdom. With wealth flowing in, Hammurabi turned his attention to expansion. Through a combination of military conquest and strategic alliances, Hammurabi systematically defeated rival city-states, including Mari, Larsa, and Eshnunna. He didn't just crush his enemies, he absorbed them, integrating their laws, cultures, and technologies into his growing empire. By 1750 BCE, Babylon was the uncontested powerhouse of Mesopotamia, stretching from the Persian Gulf to the edges of Assyria. With each conquest, Babylon gained new knowledge, blending the traditions of the conquered peoples into its own, enriching its culture, and reinforcing its dominance. Hammurabi's greatest legacy, however, wasn't his conquests. It was his laws. The Code of Hammurabi, inscribed on a massive stone stele, laid out nearly 300 laws covering everything from trade and marriage to theft and personal injury. The famous phrase, "an eye for an eye," comes from this very code. Think of it like the world's first instruction manual for how to run a society. Now, this code wasn't exactly what we'd call fair by today's standards. It was all about social status, meaning the higher up you were, the less punishment you'd get for the same crime. But it did cover pretty much everything, from trade and property to family matters, and even how much a doctor should get paid. It's kind of like a time capsule into what life was like back then, even though some of the punishments seem really harsh to us now. But Hammurabi's legal system wasn't just about harsh punishments. It was about creating order in a vast, diverse empire. With clear laws, people knew their rights and responsibilities, which fostered stability and economic growth. This wasn't just governance. It was statecraft at its finest. The code also established minimum wages, protected property rights, and even outlined regulations for business transactions, ensuring a fair marketplace that benefited all classes of society. Under Hammurabi, Babylon became more than just a political capital. It was a cultural and intellectual hub. Temples and palaces lined the streets, ziggurats towered over the skyline, and scribes recorded everything from trade agreements to epic poetry. The city's wealth attracted scholars, architects, and traders from across the ancient world, making Babylon a melting pot of ideas and innovation. One of Babylon's greatest marvels was the Esagila, a massive temple dedicated to Marduk, the city's patron god. This temple complex was not only a religious center, but also a seat of learning, where priests and scribes studied mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Babylonian scholars made significant advancements in these fields, developing early forms of algebra and accurate lunar calendars that influenced later civilizations. Hammurabi's reign was the golden age of Babylon. But as history has shown time and time again, no empire is invincible. As Hammurabi aged, the stability he had worked so hard to build began to waver. The centralized power structure that had allowed him to control a vast empire now became a weakness. With one strong ruler, the system worked. But what happened when that ruler was gone? After Hammurabi's death, his successors struggled to maintain the same level of authority. Provinces that had once been tightly controlled began asserting their independence. The nobility, sensing an opportunity, started to challenge royal authority. Meanwhile, Babylon's once thriving economy faced difficulties. Maintaining such a vast empire required heavy taxation, and the burden fell on the working class, leading to widespread unrest. Trade routes that had flourished under Hammurabi's rule became increasingly difficult to protect, disrupting commerce and weakening the economy further. On top of internal strife, environmental factors played a crucial role in Babylon's decline. Severe droughts plagued the region, leading to failing crops and food shortages. The intricate irrigation systems that had once supported a booming agricultural economy now struggled to keep up with the changing climate. As famine spread, social tensions rose and people began losing faith in their rulers' ability to provide for them. To make matters worse, the once mighty Euphrates River, the source of life for the city, began to change its course, making irrigation even more difficult. With declining food supplies, diseases spread more rapidly among the population, further weakening the empire's ability to maintain order. Around 1595 BCE, the final blow came from the north. The Hittites, led by King Mursili I, launched a devastating invasion. In a swift and brutal campaign, they sacked Babylon, plundering its wealth and leaving the once great city in ruins. But here's the twist. The Hittites didn't stay. After looting Babylon, they withdrew, leaving a power vacuum that others rushed to fill. The Kassites, a lesser-known people from the Zagros Mountains, took control and ruled Babylon for centuries. However, the Babylon of Hammurabi's time was gone. The empire had fractured, and its golden age had ended. The administrative systems that Hammurabi had so carefully constructed crumbled as new rulers attempted to impose their own rule, often with limited success. Although Babylon fell from its pedestal, its influence endured. Hammurabi's code influenced legal systems for millennia, shaping the way societies structured justice and governance. Babylon itself would rise again under Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BCE, giving us the legendary Hanging Gardens and the grandeur that inspired biblical and historical accounts. Even after its fall, Hammurabi's influence persisted in legal traditions around the world. His idea that laws should be written and accessible to all became a cornerstone of modern legal systems. Historians still study his rule as an example of how centralized leadership can unify an empire, but also how over-centralization can make it vulnerable to collapse. Hammurabi's Babylon was a marvel of the ancient world, a beacon of civilization that demonstrated the power of law, culture, and innovation. Yet its fall reminds us that power is never permanent. The rise and fall of empires are as old as history itself, and Hammurabi's Babylon stands as a timeless example of how even the greatest civilizations can be brought down by a perfect storm of internal and external pressures. So, the next time you hear about an empire at its peak, remember Babylon. because no matter how strong a kingdom may seem, the forces of history are always at work, shaping the future in ways even the most powerful rulers cannot predict. Like and subscribe for more tales from ancient history.